It's Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's reality TV show set to debut on December 8th. Hello everyone, welcome to Royal News Network. My name is Brittany and today we are talking about the breaking news that it seems like Harry and Meghan, the reality TV show that will document their love, has finally gotten a release date from Netflix. Now this was up to some contention. Obviously, we have Harry's memoir coming out in early January. We have Harry and Meghan at the Ripple of Hope Awards on December 6th. We have Earthshot Prize in the first week of December as well. So there was a lot of talk and confusion about, okay, so what's going to happen here? Will Harry and Meghan, when will the reality show get released? Obviously, after the Queen's death, there were a lot of questions. Did Harry and Meghan want editing? Would Netflix allow editing? Well, now it seems like we have some sort of direction from page 6. And I feel like this does sound kind of right. And I'm going to go into a couple of details of why I think that is. But it will be interesting to see how this reality TV show lands. Will it be the groundbreaking tale that Harry and Meghan wanted the world to know about their love story, which is, in every sense of the word, the most magical, inspired, divine thing that has ever happened in the history of humanity is their love story. It's their love story. But will it fall flat? Will they get the real look at Harry and Meghan and go, ugh, yeah, I don't like that. I don't like you. I don't like her. I don't like him. I don't like any of it. So it'll be really interesting to see how the world reacts to this and how Harry and Meghan, because of their control issues, especially Meghan, will there be a distance? Will maybe there not even be much publicity because of infighting between Harry and Meghan, their production team, Netflix, their director, and will this basically bomb under the weight of Meghan's own narcissism? I think that is definitely what will happen. And Harry will just continue to go, I don't know what happened. I do not know what happened. I feel like that's Harry. He's along for the ride. And then when it all bombs, he's like, well, she's the most intelligent woman in the history of humanity. How can our plan fall apart? Poor Harry. Poor Harry, guys. He's a lost soul. So we will go into some of those details today, but if you guys haven't been here to Royal News Network before, like I said, my name is Brittany and I provide very, very compelling royal commentary. At least I think so, and about 65,000 other people too. So if you guys want to subscribe, that would be awesome. I will be also reviewing television shows and movies and sharing a bit of history as well. So I would love it if you would hit that subscribe button. And guys, I forgot to add earlier, but I'm so excited. My recollections may vary. Shirts have come in, so I did change where the crown was, but I am so excited. I'm wearing mine right now. I just think, oh, could that not have turned out better? I really think that looks awesome. So these will be available this weekend. That is what I'm planning. I haven't decided exactly if I'm going to do Etsy, if I'm going to try to sell it through YouTube. There's a couple of different options. I do have a website still technically that does have an e-commerce option. So I'll be exploring that, but I'll let you guys know the details as soon as I have them. I haven't settled on a price. You will have to pay for shipping, just FYI, because I am a small business. I'm not Amazon, if you will excuse me. I'm not there yet. So guys, I hope you guys are super excited about these because I am. I'm so excited. I feel like they came together and they looked really good. And just for all of you who are wondering as well, me and Miss Pippa appreciate your sweet wishes. Pippa is my dog and she's usually my co-host for my live streams on Saturday morning. And unfortunately, very, very early in the morning on Saturday, she broke her elbow. So she did have surgery today and I'll be picking her up tomorrow. So I'm very, very excited to see her again. Earlier today, I just did my first Tiara Watch live stream on my Royal Fashion News channel. So if you want to head over there and sign up for that as well, you can. I did a review, waiting and watching to see what Catherine and Camilla would wear for the state visit. And neither lady disappointed, although I will say I am more in love with Catherine's look than Camilla by far. So in the morning, we obviously had for the South African state visit, Prince William and Catherine, the Prince and Princess of Wales, went and met with the President of South Africa, and they took him over to Horse Guard Parade is held. Catherine and William escorted the President of South Africa there. He met the King and Queen, and then they went by carriage back to Buckingham Palace where they had lunch, and then they do a traditional walkabout showing the historical connection between the UK and South Africa, so artifacts that the palace has had that were gifted at certain periods of time, that's generally what they do. Obviously, depending on the country, those could be very old documents or they could be somewhat newer. So it's great to see everybody examining those. Catherine looked fantastic in an outfit that I would call plum. I call plum. I did 2 surveys on my Instagram, so my Royal News Network and my Royal Fashion News. Both sides chose that it was plum, but with some burgundy accents, because the media kept calling it's a burgundy outfit. I was like, no, it's plum. It's very clearly plum, guys. But anyway, she looked absolutely fantastic in it. I love burgundy and plum. Those are some of my favorite colors. So she looked absolutely fabulous, 1000%. And Camilla looked regal in a dark blue color. It looked utterly fantastic on her. So this is her first big time as queen. And so I debated. I did a whole video on my Royal Fashion News channel explaining what tiaras Catherine and Camilla could or could not wear. I designated this one for Catherine, but it was actually Camilla who busted it out. And it's this Belgian sapphire tiara. So Camilla wore that to the state dinner. Was not a fan of her dress. It could have been better fitted. There are some issues with it. But I will say, Catherine looked divine. That is one of the best, I will have to say, this is the best tiara appearance we've had of Catherine ever, I think. She really owned this, because sometimes Catherine seems a bit uncomfortable with the grandness of everything, especially in the beginning. I think as time has gone on, she's loosened up a bit. And I feel like this was when she just felt like she totally owned the moment, owned the dress, owned the tiara, owned the jewelry. And in all, I felt like really worked and was very bling bling. So while I was really hoping that she would bust out a different tiara, I love that she still went with the Queen Mary's lover's knot. I feel like it did actually really work with the dress. I don't know if something else would have been as good, except for maybe Queen Mary's fringe, the Russian kokoshnik. There's maybe a couple others that I felt like could have worked, but I felt like really at the end of the day, or Queen Mary's lover's knot, I bet you that is the dress, which was commissioned probably could have been months ago before the Queen even died. That was the tiara she originally planned to wear with that dress, and it's the one that definitely matches. So I feel like this was the best appearance of Catherine that we've ever seen at a state visit. And I can imagine in Montecito, there is somebody screaming and pulling her hair out because, oh, Catherine looks stunning. And Meghan's last gala appearance was that awful, horrendous, ugly, ugly red dress. Well, one of the last ones. She also did the NAACP one, but I can't think of anything else, which I still feel like looks like a prom dress to me. But that thing is the red monstrosity, which again looks like a Project Runway reject, was the most it was so terrible. The construction was so bad. It was so bad. It overwhelmed her. It looked terrible. It was digging into her skin. Oh my gosh, the thing was awful. So I can imagine at some point soon, we'll see Meghan try to outshine her sister-in-law. And it's like, oh, Meghan, if you don't have access to tiaras, I'm sorry, Meghan, but there's just no way you can compete. And I'm sure at some point Meghan may buy herself her own tiara, because I doubt she'll get her hands on the British collection ever again. But moving on to Harry and Meghan, apparently their reality TV show finally has a release date. But I feel like this news has been somewhat buried by the New York Post, which owns the Page 6, and we haven't really heard about it much, but I feel like the timing makes sense based on a couple of things that we have. So number one, Harry and Meghan, their Ripple of Hope Award ceremony is on December 6th. So that's just a couple days after Earthshot Prize, and so it makes... And then the next day was supposedly Meghan Markle's reappearance or rescheduled appearance on The Tonight Show. So right before the Queen died, it had been announced that basically a couple days after her death or the week after her death, Meghan was scheduled to go on The Tonight Show. And thankfully, the Queen saved us from that. So, but unfortunately, apparently, Jimmy Fallon still wants her. I don't know why. So... And she would be apparently the only one promoting her own TV show, which is, I don't feel like very much a surprise. So she was supposed to go on Jimmy Fallon. And this is what Omid Scobie reported. And then he deleted it and goes, whoops, I guess somebody at CBS made a mistake. And I'm like, or NBC made a mistake. I'm like, or was it you? Because I feel like sometimes Harry and Meghan float these ideas in the media about things they want to go to, events they want to go to, and then they don't get an invitation. But it could definitely be true. But if it's The 6th is the Ripple of Hope. The 7th would be a promotional appearance on Jimmy Fallon, and the 8th would be a release. To me, that makes sense. Because for a release of something, you want to build up tension and interest. Now, there's already a built-in tension and interest because everybody is wanting to know, how bad is this towards the monarchy? And we've been told that Harry and Meghan did want to push it back to around the release date of the memoir. Harry was interested in doing that, and perhaps they did want some editing as well. We've heard yes they did, no they didn't. Well, it was actually the book. We were told yes they did want editing, no they didn't. And it just would be interesting to see when everything falls where exactly things lie. Because again, Harry and Meghan, they're not really that great at thinking far ahead. They think about now and the dollar signs, and they just say whatever they think they need to say at the time. Or Harry just repeats whatever Meghan wants him to, and he just doesn't really know otherwise. I feel bad saying that, but I feel like the guy has been taken for a ride and has no clue to a certain extent what is going on, is just like surprised, utterly shocked that people don't like him, that his popularity has gone down. I don't think he fully understands why him and Meghan, that this whole thing has been just kind of an epic dumpster fire. I think it still confuses him a lot. But I feel like Netflix, when it came to editing, if this is true, when they said, Harry and Meghan said, well, we want to edit since the Queen has died, and we all of a sudden realized that, hey, Charles is in charge, which he was always going to be if the Queen died. This is not rocket science, people. And that all of a sudden they're like, oh no, our children's titles are on the line. Again, as if that never occurred to them in the first place. They're just not really... I don't understand how you could not think strategically about that in the slightest. And so if they are going ahead and releasing it on December 8th, I do find that very telling, because for me, what Netflix is telling Harry and Meghan is that if they wanted to edit it more, if they wanted to change it up, because Netflix has to have a long period of time, because they're going to make subtitles, they're going to make dubbing, they're going to do all these sorts of things to make the show as broad as possible, because they know it does potentially have a very, very broad appeal. So they can't be languishing in editing forever. So December 8th tells us perhaps they just looked at Harry and Meghan and said, well, no, you can't edit this video. We have it, it's done, get over it. And at the end of the day, I feel like, especially, again, Harry doesn't realize that what businesses care about is the dollar signs. They don't care that his family relationships may be wrecked in the meantime. That's his business to deal with. That's his problem to deal with. It's not Netflix's issue. It's Harry's issue. So Harry has this thing where he's like, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? I have to fix this. So I feel like Harry's just perhaps a little bit worried about the future. And I think Meghan is too, because they're not that popular. So there'll be a decent amount of hate watching, which I'm sure Netflix likes. But the other reason is that Netflix hasn't had a great year. So maybe dropping Harry and Meghan's program before the end of the year, it does potentially two things for them. It may boost their numbers before the end of the year, when sometimes, well, families come together and watch movies and stuff. At least that's what we do in our family. I think a lot of others are the same. They watch a lot of Christmas movies. So they're hoping perhaps, I don't think they'll get this, people coming around and watching Harry and Meghan's thing. Or if it bombs, they can use it as a tax write-off. They can say, well, we tried this, it failed. We're going to get rid of Harry and Meghan. Oopsie doopsie. So we can get a tax write-off before the end of the year, because obviously for most companies the fiscal year ends at the end of the year. So if they do that, then they can potentially make that write-off. So there are two options there. Both I think are equally valid. Again, I believe Netflix wishes that this is a massive, massive smashing success. But we know there's issues going on behind the scene. Why? Because Meghan told us. She told us that things were going well, because in her Variety interview, she explained that they had to give their story to somebody else, and they're not necessarily super keen on how it went. And to me, that's just shocking, because it's like, you're the executive producer and they're filming you. How is it an issue that they can't portray you properly? If they spent time with you, if they know you, that shouldn't be an issue. Granted, there's some gotcha things that people have done before, but I feel like this still is rather odd that all of a sudden she's like, well, you know, it's our love story, but it wasn't told the way we wanted it to. Let me find you the specific clip here real quick, because I think it is good to read it again. So Variety had asked, what can we expect from the Liz Garbus docuseries on You and Your Husband? She said, it's nice to be able to trust someone with our story, a seasoned director whose work I've long admired, even if it means it may not be the way we would have told it. But that's not why we're telling it. We're trusting our story to someone else, and that means it will go through their lens. It's interesting. My husband has never worked in this industry before. For me, having worked on Suits, it's so amazing to be around so much creative energy and to see how people work together and share their own points of view. That's been really fun. Well, the funny thing is Meghan didn't care about anybody else's point of view in the monarchy, but all of a sudden she cares about other people's point of view in Hollywood. That's just to point it out there. But it's interesting that she's already, before this show was coming out, throwing their director under the bus, going, well, it wasn't the story we would have told it and how we would have told it, but, you know, it is what it is. And then she also proceeds in that Variety interview to admit that she scrolls through, I would assume Netflix is one of them, doesn't find anything to watch, and one of the shows that she's watched recently that she liked was White Lotus, which was an HBO Max offering. All this tells me is I feel like tensions are already going on behind the scenes. And we've gotten reports about this as well when it comes to directors, because Liz Garbus was not their original director. So they originally had teamed up with Garrett Bradley for their show, but she ended up leaving. Quote, there were a few sticky moments between them, and Garrett left the project. Harry and Meghan's own production company captured as much footage as they could before Liz Garbus was hired. The point of contention? Well, Garrett wanted Harry and Meghan to film at home, and they were not comfortable doing that. Now, to me, the draw and interest of Harry and Meghan is seeing a royal at home. That's the interest. I'm not interested really in seeing a pseudo-royal do a fake tour of New York City like Harry and Meghan did, as if they are royals when they're not really royals anymore. They're not working royals. They only represent their own business interests. So I see completely Garrett's point and interest. What would entice an audience is to see them at home in private moments, not this manufactured thing that Harry and Meghan, and well, specifically Meghan, was trying to create. Garrett's vision was, I think, completely accurate and very much what they probably should have done. I feel like what we will end up with is this very contrived mess, because Meghan wants to control everything so much that everything is so contrived and fake that it just doesn't ring as genuine. And I feel like we see this a lot with her podcast as well. She does the exact same thing. She's not genuine. And so her reactions, her comments and everything just don't come across as totally real. She takes these very, very long pauses. She makes everything unbelievably dramatic when it doesn't really have to be. Her cadence is so manufactured by her to tell a story rather than actually being herself. So I feel like that tension will manifest itself in a train wreck of a reality TV show, because I feel like Meghan, I'm sure, was very dictatorial about what she wanted, and unfortunately I don't feel like anybody can live up to her expectations, because her expectations are fabrications in her head. She's literally developed a fantasy in her own mind about what their relationship is, what their love story is. And I feel like Meghan's biggest Achilles heel in this area is that she loves their love story more than I think she loves Harry. She loves the idea that she was this mixed race woman who faced racism within the royal family, and she had to leave, and they had to flee, and Harry was her knight in shining armor. So I feel like their whole thing is basically this fake narrative about themselves, and that Meghan is much more in love with the idea of what she thinks their love story is than what it actually entails. Because love is sometimes banal, it's boring, it's not this grand epic thing. And I feel like Meghan is building that up in her own mind and in other people's minds. So even Tyler Perry, sometimes he talks about, well, their love story. It's like, I don't care about their love story. It doesn't interest me really. And I feel like it doesn't interest a lot of people, because at least for me, I just never saw it as an issue of her being mixed race, marrying into the royal family. Just never even crossed my mind that that would be an issue. What was an issue to me was that she was an actress. She seemed to be attention seeking, and that would not work for a woman who was marrying the sixth in line for the throne, because you will always be third, fourth, fifth, sixth fiddle, and you will never be top top of the pyramid, and I felt like Meghan wanted to be the top of the pyramid, and that would be an automatic tension building, which it was. I was completely right. She was attention seeking. She was narcissistic. I mean, there's so many more things that we've learned about her over the time, that she's just genuinely not a likable person. And so her time in the monarchy, I felt like, has been one really epic train wreck. And again, we will see this manifested in this reality TV show. The other thing that we've received from this New York Post, or sorry, this Page 6 article, is some specific details about what they were planning on for this reality TV show. For example, they were going to call it Chapters, guys. They're going to call it Chapters. It says that the series will showcase the ousted royals' love story. Was once called Chapters, sources tell us, but the couple are believed to have changed their minds. The new title has not yet been made public, and I don't feel like we've really received any details besides the fact that it's going to be about their love story and Meghan doesn't like it. But it's your love story. It's your story. If you have an issue, then the issue is actually the story. Because again, Meghan's fantasy and reality, oh, they do not mix. They do not mix. And this even says, going back to the contrivedness and the fakeness of it, one source told the Page 6 as well, Harry and Meghan are panicked about trying to tone down even the most basic of language. And again, those type of things just don't work. Reality TV shows thrives on authenticity to a certain extent. Yes, it's fake. Yes, there's narratives built in that people have to do certain things, that producers want you to react to certain things. But I feel like the issue for Harry and Meghan is that, just like the podcast, Meghan wants so much control, yet doesn't want to do that much, that it creates this natural inborn tension. So again, I feel like Netflix, what I always thought Netflix would do, and I still stand by this, and if we don't get an official release date within the next week or two, I think I'll be right. Well, obviously, because I'll release it. But I feel like what Netflix will do, which I feel like is somewhat smart, is that they'll just drop it at midnight on December 8th and let come what may. Because at this point, they can't really rely on Harry and Meghan to do the normal publicity. They don't want to do it. They're too controlling about it. Netflix is like, well, what are we going to do? So musical artists have done this, where they just drop something at midnight on a particular day without warning. Beyonce, Taylor Swift have both done this. So I feel like Netflix is like, well, we can go that direction and see if that works. And I believe they're hoping this will be controversial enough that it drums up interest and it gets viewers, that it gets more viewers to the platform. But if that doesn't happen, Harry and Meghan are in a really, really big pickle. Or if there's a super negative reaction to it. In terms of it, it's just boring. Who wants to watch fake royals, fake royal, go around New York talking about as if they are the king and queen of something, when they're not? They speak for nobody but their own business interests. There's nothing grander, because we've seen the power of the monarchy the last couple of months. At this state visit, Catherine looked regal. She looked stunning. She captured a room. Camilla, I would say, somewhat did the same, but her outfit could have used some work. But it's this majesty, it's this pageantry that you just cannot match. The South African president looked thrilled as punch with the whole thing. He's like, this is the greatest week ever. And who can blame him? Who can blame him? Everybody wants to go to the UK for a state visit. Everybody. I can't imagine a single leader in the whole world who does not want to go to the United Kingdom to get treated like royalty for a couple of days. They all want it. They all want it. Harry and Meghan don't have that. What can they do? They can invite people into their home in Montecito, where they can see basically everybody else doing everything, and Meghan just, sitting, spouting, her word salad with such conviction, as if she is solving world hunger, guys. By talking enough, she will solve world hunger. So I feel like Harry and Meghan, especially with Catherine and William being an earth shot a couple days before, and again, Netflix is counting on that competition and that tension between the two sides and the couples to really amplify what they're doing. But Harry and Meghan are outmatched. Their little royaling adventure will look really pitiful in comparison to the power of the monarchy. They will just look like the petty, vindictive people they are, desperate to recapture the magic that they willingly left behind, because Meghan wanted to try to make it in Hollywood. She took her herself down to just be a Hollywood person. When she was royalty living in a castle, she would prefer to be like Jennifer Aniston, which I'm sure Jennifer Aniston, pretty much everybody else in Hollywood, feels like royalty is a leg up. Meghan did herself and Harry a huge disservice by thinking they were better than the monarchy and took a giant step down to go to Hollywood. Meghan thought it was a step up. Harry thought maybe it was a step up too. But the rest of the world went, you guys are slumming it. You guys went from the pinnacle to the dungeons, and that was your choice. And guess what? They have to live with it. So I don't think people are going to be too keen on watching it. Well, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I appreciate it. And I also got to say, if you want to buy my Recollections Mayberry shirt, I will be hopefully getting everything together for this weekend. It's Thanksgiving weekend. We obviously have Black Friday, so I will be working on getting everything together then. I'm so excited, and I look forward to sharing the details with you very, very soon. Bye.